Some individuals unfortunately dedicate their entire existence to being architects of sabotage, constantly constructing obstacles in the paths of others. They fail to grasp the fundamental, unshakable law of the universe. What you deploy as a weapon against someone else will, without fail, be redeployed as a consequence against you. They never anticipate having to navigate the exact, thorny ground they painstakingly laid for you, but they will. This is the first non-negotiable principle of cosmic balance. Every destructive seed they scatter on your journey ultimately blossoms into a dense, inescapable thicket on their own. Chosen one, you've witnessed this dramatic, unavoidable spectacle firsthand. Those individuals who invested their energy in trying to dismantle your life and reputation are now ensnared in the very complicated snares they engineered. Their intricate, malevolent plans have simply become the bars of their own self-constructed confinement. Every negative, malicious intention they harbored against you has matured into a painful, personal consequence that they cannot avoid. Life operates on a precise moral scale, and absolutely no one, no matter how clever or subtle they believe they are, is permitted to escape the full, crushing weight of their deliberate actions. Even the most subtle antagonists, those silent critics who prefer to lurk in the shadows, hoping for the slightest stumble or public failure from you, are now learning a devastating lesson. Wishing misfortune or ruin upon someone with your specific, unique inner frequency is comparable to the act of aggressively spitting directly into a powerful wind. The consequence doesn't just return, it comes rushing back with a sheer, overwhelming force, doubling the original intent of the negative energy they sent out. You are not just moving forward, you are operating on an entirely different level, rising with a distinct and unparalleled trajectory. The universe itself remains in perfect, deliberate alignment with this remarkable rise of yours. It is constantly making subtle, unseen adjustments behind the scenes, shifting pieces and redirecting currents in ways that your adversaries were simply never equipped to foresee or understand. Every single, painstaking attempt they made to restrain your progress, to hold you back, was merely converted into the precise pressure required to forge your character and harden your resolve. Every elaborate trap they painstakingly set was, with a satisfying snap, deployed upon the very hands that spent the time constructing it. This is the ultimate cosmic irony at play in your life. You were not effectively weakened by their attacks. You were, in fact, structurally forged into something infinitely stronger and more resilient. You were never slowed down or derailed. You were intensely, rapidly recalibrated for higher speeds and better precision. This is the exact core reason why your sustained, undeniable success haunts their thoughts day and night. You embody everything they secretly fear, a person who effortlessly cultivates growth from the very conditions that were explicitly designed to break them beyond repair. If you can feel this profound, undeniable truth echoing deep within your spirit, chosen one, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. This is only the beginning, because the subsequent insights will illuminate the incredible journey and the sheer distance this unstoppable version of yourself is about to cover, leaving the opposition far behind. Before we delve any deeper into the findings of this massive cosmic investigation into your life, I urge you to take a brief, meaningful moment of self-reflection. Chosen one, the mere fact that you are still present, still absorbing these truths is deeply telling. Your profound intuition instantaneously recognized the crucial nature of this message long before your analytical mind could fully process the details. It's time now to take the necessary action to solidify this magnificent momentum that is actively building all around your life. Hit that like button right now to affirm this truth. Subscribe immediately to ensure that this crucial message finds every other chosen one who is presently waking up to the fullness of their latent power. Go ahead and drop the powerful number 77 into the comments section right now to officially lock yourself into this higher frequency of truth and affirmation. The individuals who once spent their time trying to analyze your every move and study your life patterns fundamentally failed to understand the essence of who you are. But you, however, are now on the brink of clearly seeing why all their flawed analyses and assumptions spectacularly collapsed, and why your unfolding rise is about to accelerate at an exponential rate. Remain focused and stay tuned with me, because the next crucial points will make every single detail click perfectly into its destined place. Number 1. Cease allowing external forces to define you. Instead, consciously permit their own crippling doubts to thoroughly expose their fragile internal state. When your detractors initially launched their intensive, misguided analysis into your private life, chosen one, they were never genuinely searching for some objective truth. Their focus was singularly dedicated to hunting for vulnerabilities, for any apparent cracks in your exterior composure. They desperately needed to prove that beneath your quiet confidence resided the exact same level of profound fragility that they are forced to wrestle with on a daily basis. They absolutely needed your calm composure to be a calculated act, your internal peace to be nothing more than a carefully constructed mask, and your demonstrable personal growth to be a staged, elaborate performance. The simple, terrifying reason for this is clear. If you were truly authentic, if your unwavering resilience was not a form of deceit, then they would be immediately forced to confront the stark possibility that their own deep-seated excuses are the only true obstacles restricting their own advancement. This is precisely the point where their entire faulty framework began its inevitable, painful process of spectacular unraveling. During one of the earliest, most pivotal interviews, your former partner sat facing the serious investigators. Their hands displayed a noticeable slight tremor, and their eyes nervously darted around the room, resolutely avoiding the camera lens. After a protracted, uncomfortable silence, they finally began to speak, their voice barely a whisper as they confessed a painful truth they had successfully dodged for years. I genuinely thought they would collapse under the weight. They admitted candidly, "I waited for it. I expected the breaking point, but it never, ever materialized." They finally admitted the most critical, hidden detail that they had never disclosed to you directly. The malicious act of hurting you had not granted them any genuine, lasting power. It only served to glaringly reveal the enormous weakness within their own character and self-control. Because while they were actively engaged in attempting to inflict maximum damage upon your spirit, you were silently, systematically decoding the underlying pattern of their behavior. They only recognized, tragically too late, that you instinctively treated emotional pain as crucial data, perceived betrayal as invaluable feedback, and viewed profound disappointment as critical instruction. You were not in any sense breaking down. You were purposefully and powerfully upgrading your entire operating system. The investigators meticulously recorded this profound observation. The next person to testify was a former close friend, someone who once firmly believed that successfully outsmarting you was an undeniable, grand personal victory. With an obviously forced laugh that utterly failed to conceal their deep regret, they confessed that choosing to walk away from your life felt precisely like stepping completely out of direct sunlight and somehow expecting a small flashlight to be sufficient. I truly believed they would come running, desperately pursuing me. They recalled, their voice hollow. They didn't. They just kept moving relentlessly forward. This moment was a major breakthrough for the investigators. They suddenly realized something profoundly important. People who willingly forfeit their access to your presence ultimately experience a profound silence that is exponentially louder than any heated argument, a painful void precisely contoured to the shape of what they consciously decided to take entirely for granted. The investigative team then progressed to the next key witness, your old employer. Their crucial confession carried the heavy, unmistakable weight of an irreversible decision they wished they could immediately retract. "We truly thought anyone could seamlessly replace them. Anyone," they stated honestly. "We learned with great speed exactly how terribly wrong we were." They described the organizational structure beginning to collapse piece by piece immediately following your deliberate departure, realizing only in retrospect that the foundational stability everyone had relied upon had been originating entirely from you the whole time. They labeled this a difficult lesson in egregious misjudgment. You, however, would recognize this experience for what it truly is, cosmic balance in its perfect execution. Even your own family members were not exempted from this painful scrutiny. A relative visibly shifted with acute discomfort before admitting, "I honestly didn't think they possessed the strength to survive the sheer volume of things life threw at them. I would have been utterly shattered under merely half of it." They spoke with the raw, intense honesty that people only share when they finally realize there is absolutely no remaining point in continuing their pretense. They had witnessed your ability to effortlessly endure devastating storms that, by all rights, should have completely swallowed you whole. Yet you remained completely present, fully aware, and entirely uncollapsed. What truly stunned and captivated the investigators was not simply the unwavering consistency across all these detailed testimonies. It was the clear, recurring pattern that lay beneath every single statement. The exact same powerful theme resonated from every single witness. Underestimating you was never just a small, forgivable mistake. It was, in fact, the undeniable, absolute beginning of their own irreversible downfall. And as each painful confession meticulously rolled into the official record, the investigators arrived at a critical, terrifying realization. They were absolutely not documenting the events of an ordinary, unremarkable life. They were, in chilling reality, documenting the severe aftermath of crossing a person whom the universe itself steadfastly refuses to allow to fall. Number 2, stop spending energy explaining yourself to past connections. Consciously let their own words unflinchingly reveal their mistakes and errors. In the context of this massive investigation, chosen one, their very own unsolicited words have already thoroughly exposed everything that you never once had to articulate or say in your defense. The investigators made a startling discovery that they were completely unprepared to handle. Every single person who once arrogantly demanded exhaustive explanations from you has ended up in the uncomfortable position of explaining themselves instead. This did not occur because you aggressively demanded it, but because the heavy weight of guilt intrinsically makes people talk, and the acute pain of regret dramatically loosens tongues like absolutely nothing else can. The deeper the investigators dug into the record, the clearer the fundamental truth became. Your strategic silence was never, ever a sign of weakness. It was a devastatingly effective strategy. You never felt the need to vigorously defend your personal choices. You never had to justify your carefully constructed boundaries. You never attempted to rewrite shared history just to make anyone else feel psychologically comfortable. You simply and decisively walked away. And that deliberate, quiet walk became the most powerful, resonant statement you have ever delivered. When the investigators interviewed these past estranged connections, they fully expected to hear polished, self-serving narratives. What they received instead were debilitating slips of the tongue, clear contradictions, and painful, accidental confessions. Individuals who once vehemently claimed you were prone to overreacting suddenly admitted they were the ones who severely lacked any measurable self-awareness. People who truly believed that deliberately distancing themselves from you was an act of personal empowerment now admitted they profoundly misread the entire, complex situation. Individuals who once casually dismissed you as overly sensitive confessed that they simply never possessed the necessary emotional capacity to handle someone who is genuinely committed to profound, continuous growth. Chosen one, this investigation has proven a crucial cosmic truth. Your carefully maintained silence achieved precisely what your exhaustive, painful explanations never could. Your silence starkly revealed who lied, who was projecting their internal mess, and who completely panicked when they finally understood you weren't ever coming back to fix the wreckage they intentionally caused. You were under no obligation to correct their false narratives. The universe took on that crucial responsibility for you. Their painful, recorded interviews became a psychological autopsy of their own disastrous decisions. Their documented testimony morphed into inescapable mirrors they were unable to shatter or avoid. The keen investigators clearly saw the undeniable truth. Leaving your presence was the precise, devastating moment their personal story began to sink. Conversely, leaving their influence was the exact, triumphant moment your personal story began its stellar rise. You do not waste time chasing after external closure. Number 3, never chase external validation. Instead, actively let the spontaneous confessions from those who intentionally hurt you definitively prove your evolution and worth. Do not bother chasing validation, because this entire cosmic investigation has already successfully dragged the undeniable truth out of the very people who dedicated their time to actively trying to bury you beneath their negativity. When the investigators finally sat down with those specific individuals, the ones who habitually lied, the ones who exploited, the ones who underestimated you, they were not met with arrogant bragging. They were met with genuine, visceral confessions. And these spontaneous confessions were exponentially louder and more impactful than any insincere apology they never bothered to offer you. Chosen one, this is the point in the narrative where your incredible, tangible evolution becomes impossible for anyone to deny. You are under no obligation to prove a single thing about your worth. Their own unexpected words took on that substantial burden for you. As they sat under the immense pressure of relentless, pointed questioning, their carefully constructed stories began to crack open and fracture. The very same individuals who once tried so hard to make you feel intrinsically small suddenly found themselves describing your presence in powerful ways. They never had the genuine courage to admit directly to your face. They readily admitted that they completely misread your character. They admitted they tragically mishandled your care. Some even reluctantly admitted that they deeply envied your light and strength. Every single confession caused the investigators to lean in closer, because the profound pattern was becoming impossible for anyone to ignore. While they wasted years of their own lives attempting to force you to question your fundamental self-worth, the universe was simultaneously ensuring that their truth involuntarily slipped out in front of a substantial audience. That is the perfect, terrifying demonstration of cosmic balance in full, active motion. They desperately tried to maintain full control of the narrative, and yet, life compelled them to speak your verifiable reality instead. You never needed external validation to thrive. You never required them to officially acknowledge your immense strength. Yet here is the striking irony. They ultimately ended up doing it anyway. Not with their willing consent, not with any sense of pride, but involuntarily under the enormous, crushing weight of their own conscience and regret. They became the living, breathing evidence. Their candid testimonies became the undeniable receipts of your strength. Their bitter, public regret became the absolute confirmation of your powerful growth. That, more than anything else, is what truly terrifies them now. It is not merely that you chose to move on with your life, but that the deep investigation spectacularly exposed exactly who you became without their toxic presence and influence. Remember this fundamental truth, chosen one. You do not ascend to higher levels by simply trying to convince people of your inherent worth. You ascend by allowing their confessions to dramatically reveal the truth that they tried so desperately to conceal from the world. Number 4, stop actively downplaying your immense strength. Start powerfully using your entire history as irrefutable evidence of your masterful design. Chosen one. One of the most critical, profound discoveries the investigators made while meticulously dissecting the chapters of your past was this startling truth. You have spent the vast majority of your life deliberately attempting to shrink your inherent power, simply to ensure that fragile, insecure people felt superficially comfortable in your presence. You consciously chose to walk quietly so that their incessant personal insecurities would not echo too loudly in the shared space. You deliberately softened your sharp, definitive edges so that they wouldn't accidentally cut themselves on the brutal truth of who you really are. You intentionally dimmed your brilliant inner light so that they wouldn't be forced to confront their own deep-seated, painful shadows. And yet, absolutely none of that intentioned effort ever served to effectively protect you from their attacks. It only made them feel bold and empowered enough to aggressively attack someone whose depth and power they never truly understood. But when the investigation completely pulled apart all the different chapters of your life, they realized a terrifying truth your enemies were never willing to face. Your profound internal strength was not a fortunate accident. It was meticulously engineered through every single, painful thing you successfully endured and survived. The very worst moments that they sincerely believed would completely break you were, in reality, the precise moments that systematically built you up. Your entire history is not a detailed weakness report. It is your ultimate, indisputable blueprint for greatness. Every single setback you faced successfully welded you into a stronger structure. Every act of betrayal meticulously sharpened your perception and intuition. Every painful loss intelligently recalibrated your path and focus. You were never truly shaped by comfort or convenience. You were systematically sculpted by profound impact and pressure. This is precisely why the investigators were unable to locate the specific point of collapse that everyone had sworn must exist within you. The objective evidence consistently told an entirely different, more powerful story. Your sheer endurance was never a matter of luck. Your profound evolution was never a mere coincidence. It was, in the most literal sense, pure, intentional design. And now, chosen one, the time has come to absolutely stop pretending you are anything less than that formidable design. Your past is not some shameful secret to be hidden away. It is the undeniable receipt for why you possess the profound capabilities you currently hold. The individuals who truly believed they shattered you are now entirely contained within the crushing consequences of their disastrous misreading of your character. Meanwhile, you are powerfully rising with the exact same strength they tried desperately to bury forever. Number 5. Do not attempt to fit into any confining mold. Simply accept that you operate on a level that the vast majority of people simply cannot access or process. Chosen one, the comprehensive investigation undeniably proved a reality that you never needed external validation to confirm. You do not function on the same basic bandwidth as the people who once tried to evaluate, judge, and contain you. They approach every challenge in life as if it were a complex, locked door. You, however, move through the world like someone who was intuitively born holding the master key to all solutions. Throughout the investigation process, witness after witness kept circling back to the same, painfully uncomfortable truth. You never truly belonged in the confining spaces they tried desperately to hold you within. In fact, a significant portion of their bitter resentment came from the devastating realization that you were never designed to fit in with their limitations to begin with. You were, instead, meant to effortlessly expose the low ceilings that they comfortably settled for in their own lives. One witness described the dynamic perfectly and concisely. Trying to understand them was precisely like trying to download an entire, vast universe onto a cheap, obsolete device. It simply lacked the operational capacity to handle the sheer volume. That single, profound line shook the seasoned investigators more deeply than any emotional confession, because it clearly revealed the core of the underlying problem. People were not merely intimidated by what you successfully did. They were utterly overwhelmed by the boundless potential of everything you could do. They desperately wanted you to be entirely predictable. They needed you to be completely containable. They demanded you be small enough to easily manage and simple enough to conveniently label. But instead, every single attempt they made to confine you within their rigid expectations only served to make your incredible difference resonate louder and more clearly. Your occasional silence felt profoundly disruptive to their narratives. Your powerful presence felt like an intense psychological pressure. Your continued growth felt like a dire, existential threat, and deep down, they always knew this truth. You didn't tragically fail to fit into their small world. You simply and powerfully outgrew the stagnant places they stubbornly refused to evolve from. The investigation has definitively proven this. You consistently operate on a level most individuals cannot even begin to process. let alone ever reach. That is precisely why they chose to react with destructive jealousy instead of humble understanding